Hey guys, welcome to the MC Anime Podcast. We cover anime, geek culture, Japanese aesthetics, and Asian studies. We are a multi-fandom podcast, and you can expect to hear topics in your favorite hobby or fandom activity potentially. You can find MC Anime on Google Podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. Also, please check out mcanimepodcast.com, our website. Furthermore, stay tuned in for another episode.
This is MC from MC Anime Podcast. Today we have another special guest with us today.
Hey, what's up, Mason? How are you?
Pretty good. Tell the audience a little about yourself, what you do, and where they can find you on social media or website.
Yeah. My name is ST. I am the host of the Next in Time podcast. I interview a lot of startup founders and a lot of visionaries who talk about what they're building. That's like my main. That's just my side gig. But my main job is an IT consultant. And if you want to find me, you can find me on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. But if you want to really reach out to me, you can if you want to check out my podcast, go to nextintimepodcast.com. I'll send you the links shortly. So yeah.
All right, Next in Time Podcast is where you can find them. Is that correct?
Yep.
Next in Time.
Nextintimepodcast.com.
Oh, Next in Time. Okay. Cool. Well, hopefully you guys can follow Next in Time Podcast with ST and his correspondents in today's episode. Before we get to that, you can find MCMA Podcast at Podcast Near You, like Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and more. We're also located at www.mcanimepodcast.com, where we do live updates and give the latest episodes. We're also on Patreon and Fiverr if you want to do other stuff with the podcast and production services. So further ado, today's episode is going to talk about the legacy, Ash and Pikachu's legacy in Pokemon. So, a recent event has happened of late. Ash became a champion for the first time since the Indo League. What's your thoughts about that, ST?
Yeah, it was a spectacular achievement there. It's like it was like a long time coming.
Well, yeah, it was like 20 years, and the only sort of pseudo championship he had was the Indo League.
Well, I mean, if you recall he just won. I mean, he only had a couple of pseudo prior to winning the Galactic League. I mean, he was always either the top 8, top 16, top 8, or top 4. But then, if I recall, because I'm a huge fan of the overall anime. Like his overall victory came after so many leagues where he was just he was this close to winning or this close to I want to get it. I think my favorite one was the Hoenn League, even though it was he only made it to the top 8. It was still kind of he made it. He fought very valiantly, and also the Kalos League championship. So it's he had 2 championships, but they were more because these were challengers, not these were not tournament style tournament style way of winning these tournaments. When you start from the bottom, you all the way to the top. But this is it was more it required a lot of preparation for Ash to be able to win those previous 2. But this one, it's basically all of his experience and his experience dealing with so many defeats that kind of got him to this moment.
Well, we can say that, at the same time, when it comes to battling, Ash is very creative on the battlefield and uses different techniques and moves to combat other moves or advantages that he can find while doing the battle.
So he always got to use his Pikachu at the end somewhere.
I mean, yeah. So that's a little bit of background of Gala Legion and how that anime wrapped up, kind of, in a nutshell.
I mean, officially in Japan, but not the US yet. It'll come out in the next couple of episodes. I think. Yeah.
Let's talk about the Indo League, because that was actually his first championship-esque title, main championship, win the championship.
So are you talking about the Indigo League?
Mm-hmm.
That was not what he won. He won the Orange League.
Oh yeah,
and Indigo League, if you recall, he won the 4 qualifying rounds, and then when he made it to the main event, he lost to Richie. Only because I always have to blame Team Rocket for putting him in the way, for being in the way. Ash, and you had to use up all his Pokemon's energy to fight them. And then by the time he got to the stadium, it was like, okay, it was close to being eliminated. But when he fought, all his Pokemon were tired to fight, and then he had a disobedient Charizard that kind of like basically like that kind of ended his whole journey into the Indigo League.
True. Orange Islands is kind of interesting because that's also Battle Frontier, isn't it? Am I correct?
Which one?
Orange Island.
Orange Island. Orange Island is Battle Frontier. That's in Kanto itself. Orange Island. That's Orange League is in the Orange Islands. The way it was set up was that Ash and Misty and Brock were supposed to just go like deliver an egg to a professor, if I recall. It's been ages since I watched that series, and because because Ash found the league kind of enticing, he wanted to join it because he knows how Ash is. He's always excited to compete, no matter wherever he's at.
True. I think it's kind of interesting because when he's in the Orange Islands, he's not only is he able to win, but he actually gets like a really good placement and fight the different people associated in the journey along too.
Yeah.
Oh, what's your favorite moment about the Orange Islands?
I don't know. I'm trying to remember why when I saw that series, it was like many years ago, and I think if I recall, it was the different battles. I feel like that's where the one thing about the Orange League is that Ash finally got to really understand his Charizard better and really started to bond with them better.
Yeah.
Because like overall, until it's the moment his old Charmander evolved into Charmeleon, it was always kind of a disobedient Pokemon.
Mm-hmm.
It took him so many chances for Charmeleon, and then evolved into Charizard. I mean, like to really like understand Ash and really understand like that bond. They understand the bond that it has with Ash.
Yeah.
And I feel like that was a very significant moment in the series, was because of the fact that he was able to finally bond with his Charizard properly, and Charizard was able to obey him, and that's how he became even stronger as a Pokemon.
Yeah, true. The lineup that he has is kind of interesting because we had Pikachu, Bulbasaur, the Charizard, Squirtle, Lapras, and Snorlax, and also Tauros. Yeah,
it is Tauros. Yeah. The funny thing about it is that I'm trying to recall. The funny thing about it is that the if you ever see in his lab, Professor Oak's lab, like he gets a swarm of them.
Yeah,
it is so long since I ever recall. Right, I can't remember every single detail which battled which because I'm not I can't remember everything, but I remember the heavy moments that really signified the series.
True. And the entire herd of Tauros that Ash has perfected at Oak's lab was all caught from the Savoy, and he just keeps them there, and it keeps Professor Oak busy because the entire herd all likes Ash, and so does Professor Oak.
I'll start with his Pikachu. If you think about it. If you recall the first episode, that was where of the series, like Pikachu was always a disobedient kind to Ash in the beginning until he saved him. It's always when every Pokemon that's been disobedient to Ash, it only started to obey Ash once Ash started caring for them when they're at their worst moments.
Yeah. So with the Indigo League, it's kind of interesting because for the previous season, I think Kanto, Pidgeot and Butterfree were replaced with Lapras and Snorlax. But it's kind of interesting because I think this is like one of the last official times we see Lapras as well.
He lets go of Lapras. There's always going to be, every season there's always going to have, he gains Pokemon and then he loses Pokemon.
Yeah.
And if you want to say that, I think if you recall, have you seen the Colossus League by any chance?
Yeah, I have.
If you remember Greninja, right?
Yep.
Remember, it started from a Froakie that evolved a Greninja. It was like that was the strongest Pokemon, and then they had to part ways at the end of that series. I think that was
he had to do cleanup duty. I think.
Yeah.
Clean up all the different Mega Evolutions happening there in Zygarde, I think.
Yeah.
It was being a protector in that.
And the only thing that got me interested about watching the Colossus League series was that it's the Mega Evolution part. Like now there's doing something fun, because the previous one with the Unova League, that was not my that was literally my least favorite one out of all, because like, you remember before that he was in the Sinnoh League. Like he fought very valiantly, made it to the top 4, and then when he restarted with Unova, everything just went back to as they say, they reset back to level 1 as every time for every league. They always have to reset to level 1. And it was like the worst. And also, I just never was a fan of of his companions, like Iris and Silent.
Yeah.
But when it was such a that series was a letdown for me. That the moment when the College League started, I was like, that was just the first few episodes was like way better than the whole series altogether.
Yeah. Well, also, Kalos League didn't really get established until like I think a lot later, and Ash is like one of the first group of people to be actually able to participate
in the league.
Yeah, Kalos isn't am I correct? That's Aloha.
Alola. Maybe no, it's a Alola. But I mean, Alola was more like he was just entering a summer school.
Yeah, but it still turned into a league.
Yeah, turned to a league, but he won, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
No, he won at least the last 2 series. It was more he finally won 2 important leagues that can be cemented in his legacy. He became a world champion and he became a league champion. And I mean, yeah, for those of you who haven't seen, who don't know yet, Netflix will be releasing the last set of episodes for the Galactic League at I think the next year or something. I think once that's complete, then you'll get to see Ash finally win his last championship.
True. Well, Kalos League is interesting because I think, let's see, it was Greninja, what was the other lineup?
I mean, if you want to go to bulbapedia.com, you can see it there. So that's what I used to, I mean, like, well, I'll tell you, when I was in high school, especially middle school, high school, that was like my time where I started using that website a lot. That was like my escape route.
True.
And I always looked at that. I was like, okay, let's see what's the next one coming out for Ash. What's the summary? Because they like I said, they displayed the episodes that were already released in Japan earlier. Before there's always a 3 to 6 month gap between the Japan one and the Japan air date and the US air date. So that's where you get to really watch what's going on. And then it's like if you watch the Japanese version with subs, then you know what's going on much faster than if you see in the US.
Yeah. Kalos, he had Lucario, Gengar, Dragonite, Dragon Wish. Oh wait. Yeah. Dragonite, Lucario, Pikachu, Gengar, Dracovish, and Sofetch.
Really? Was there a wait? That's for Kalos?
Yeah.
I don't recall. I remember. What about What about you say there's Greninja out there, right? That lineup.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Like I said, it's been a while since I've seen it. The only reason I agreed to this episode was because I wanted to talk about the legacy of Ash. Because I said, only because they announced that final championship, and once they announced the fact that Ash won the championship, that's like, okay, I gotta talk about it soon.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because with everything he did, he finally got better to the point that he was actually able to win. But also, each series that he was in seemed like it was standalone and not much connection to the previous season either.
Yeah, this last season they basically brought every single region he visited into that one season. He gets to revisit Hoenn, revisit Johto. I don't know if he did Johto, but I don't remember. He visited Kalos and then Sinnoh even.
Yeah. It's kind of interesting because the wrap-up of Gala with the International League kind of brings more excitement for what it actually was. So him winning that was actually better because it was more people that were way above his bracket to actually be able to win.
Yeah, and these are high-level trainers. And I'm still trying to see when he's going to beat the Elite Four of Kanto, which includes Lance.
True.
And I've seen, I think when I was growing up, when I was 10, I was like 9 to between the ages of 9 and 12. I remember watching the Hoenn League and the Battle Frontier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think that was where I saw Ash at his most mature, and also he was willing to really. He had developed a really interesting skill set that was like the first time I saw the potential of Ash growing as an individual character. But before that, even with Johto, like, people say that's their favorite region. Or like if you call people my age, they always talk about the Johto League, and they said that was their most favorite league to watch. But I always felt like only because he had the support of two older people like Brock and Misty. Well, I don't know if he had the support of Brock and Misty, but this time he had to be stepping in as more of a mentor and a leader to like his other companions, May and Max. So
yeah, it was more interesting saying that because now not only like he's part of a group, he's like the one leading the group. Because like Brock would lead the group, Kamat would lead the group at one point with another season. You know, different people would lead the group other than Ash, and they just go along with Ash because he's part of the group. But Ash is the one doing it.
Ash is the one demonstrating his leadership on and display for Hoenn, even though if they say they find it's like I think because there was once a time when people really did not want to watch the Hoenn League because they still had nostalgia for Ash, Misty, and Brock. They just like I'm done with the series. I mean, I had plenty of friends who said they just couldn't stand watching Pokemon after the Johto League completed.
Yeah, it makes sense because it was a rinpoche of the similar tropes and trends that Pokemon is known for. But even if you had different trends and tropes, you still have like different adventures that go on in different regions. So to be honest, I think the appeal of Pokemon has been the different regions from the get-go.
So is that what you think?
In the region,
is that what you think?
Yeah, I think that's the appeal.
Yeah, that was always the appeal, but it's like, if you remember the moment when you watch if you remember watching Hoenn, the first few episodes of Hoenn, he basically abandons all his Pokemon except Pikachu, and he starts over. And it's like, it's been repeating every season since then, because, that was when a real change took place between Johto and Hoenn, was the fact that, okay, because before that, he always had the support of his Pokemon, and this time for Hoenn, he's starting over with just Pikachu again, like how he started in the Indigo League.
Yeah.
So ever since then, he's just been doing that same thing over and over again for many different leagues, especially with Sinnoh and Kalos, and and Unova.
But that also makes the variations in teams exciting as well.
So you've seen all, since you said you've seen all the series, right? What was your favorite series be?
I only did like Sinto. It felt like a real battle. The plot was not bad. Which was the second?
Oh, Sinnoh, yeah.
I like second.
Really? It's like Sinnoh was, yeah. I can tell Sinnoh because there was a lot of story in that one.
Yeah, and then Unova also had a lot of story as well.
Yeah, and I think when you saw Sinnoh, that was where it's like. I kind of always got annoyed sometimes when I watched Sinnoh. The first few episodes, he got challenged by his older, like his, what I call an arch rival.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you recall, his name is Paul.
Yep, Paul.
And yeah, Paul. It's like he was like doing so well in the Battlefront. He won the Battle Frontier. Yet when he went to Sinnoh, his old Pokemon went into level 1, especially, and then he had this Turtwig that just was so ineffective until it started evolving.
Yeah, but it won battles though. It's so weird.
If it won battles, but then every time it's like, how in the world does Ash not know how to train Pokemon? And it's like, that's the one trope that's the one annoying trope of Ash sometimes. Like, how in the world does he go back to level 1 when he starts a new region? It's like he gets beaten down by a new rival every time.
Oh, he doesn't technically go back to level 1. He just restarts.
Yeah.
Most of the time is the only Pokemon that continues through most of the series.
Jeez, wow. It could say that way, but I think what would be your favorite Pokemon overall from Ash's lineup?
Oh gosh, that's an interesting one. I don't know. I like Snorlax.
It just let us believe. It's because sometimes it's an epitome of lazy people can get things done in a way.
Yeah. Especially if you sleep too much and make it angry or tired.
Yeah, it's like if you bother him when it's sleeping, it'll be so powerful it just like knocks you out. That's kind of what I really found interesting about Snorlax.
And Snorlax has been one of those Pokemon I play in the games just like a beefy stats. Like the HP is huge, the attack is like really good, and it loads all kind of different moves and it actually can really do some damage on your team.
Yeah. And I was gonna ask you this: what was your overall since this episode is not just about the legacy of Ash, but also the legacy of Pikachu, what was it like about you just seeing Pikachu being this puny little electric Pokemon all the way till what it is today? Like, how have you seen it evolve?
Well, my first experience, in the game, let's see. Pikachu evolved through the eyes of Ash being able not only being a sidekick, but being a partner, an equal partner.
Yeah.
Integral part of Ash's journey, something he cannot live without and Pikachu cannot live without with him. The bond they form is really strong and it continues throughout the entire series as a whole. Doesn't matter which league they go to, which region they go to, they still share that bond. And Team Rocket that wanted to go after Pikachu as well shares it with them as well.
Speaking of Team Rocket, they, I always watch those compilations of the number of times they keep blasting off. Like, they must have blasted off over like 500 plus times now. They basically defied all sorts of physics, because if they just blasted off just 3 times, they would have been vanished into thin air by now.
True, but they also travel very far distance when they blast off. So
yeah, there was this one episode where they just showed where they're gonna blast off, they go off into space and then fall back into Earth every time.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's another. I think the three important legacy of Pokemon would be Ash, Pikachu, and Team Rocket, because they never stop appearing. Like, Brock can leave the series, Misty can leave the series, but there's no Ash or Pikachu without Team Rocket, because he has to constantly beat them at nearly every single episode.
Yeah, there's been several times where they actually succeeded, but they messed up themselves.
They just snatched defeat on the jaws of victory.
Exactly.
Yeah, they was like so close to victory. I was like, if I were Team Rocket, like, why do they want to waste? I always felt like, why does Team Rocket want to keep wasting their time chasing Ash and Pikachu?
Because Pikachu is a very special Pokemon.
I mean, there's plenty of
power. Okay, the reason why Team Rocket keeps going after Pikachu in the way they do, because they want to capture Pikachu. It's been the only Pokemon to elude them thus far, and they can't succeed without completing the mission.
I mean, they must have blown the Team Rocket budget by millions by now just to capture just one Pokemon. I mean, at this rate, they could have just stolen just a couple of Pokemon that aren't raised by trainers, and then that could have basically sealed the deal, and they could have been living in paradise by now.
I mean, that is true, but at the same time, they might have spent a lot from the T-Rocket budget, but they also were very entrepreneurial. They made their own money. We keep seeing it in the disguises they do, the jobs they take, and actually being able to fund their own projects.
Yeah, that's why you gotta... It's like when you're a kid, you see Team Rocket as this evil, especially the first 2 seasons, you see them as evil. Then starting from Johto and then Hoenn and Sinnoh and Battle Frontier and beyond that, they start becoming more comical and sympathetic. And then once you go past Sinnoh and go into Unova and beyond, then they become more like repetitive. And then, but the thing is, you have to admire is that I think you could always have to learn from the bad guys if you want to be like an entrepreneurial person.
True. What was your favorite business that they started from Team Rocket? What thing they took as a job that you thought they could make a lot of money from?
I mean, that's a good question, because one thing was the Pokeblock, maybe.
Yeah.
Pokeblock would be one, because that's like, without Pokeblock, then Pokemon they cannot get stronger.
So you think them using Pokeblock was actually very successful?
If they just started a Pokeblock business, they would have just say goodbye Team Rocket. Why do they have to be bad people all the time? Bad people. They could just, all these odd jobs they're doing for that. I mean, I would say that's, if they just started a Pokeblock business, then that's good enough for them. They could have all the Pokemon come to them, and then they could have fed them.
Yeah, I mean, the Pokeblock would actually have been very good if it actually succeeded.
Yeah, but how in the world does Team Rocket have that massive budget in the first place?
They blew most of the budget.
No, I'm not talking, not Jesse, James, and Meowth. I'm talking about the overall strong organization, like what Giovanni.
Because they sell illegal Pokemon. The trade of exotic animals is huge, you know that.
Yeah.
So, capturing Pokemon, being able to sell it on the black market to other people that can afford it is where they make the money.
If you recall, do you remember in Sinnoh there was this really evil villain named Jay, Hunter Jay. Like she just basically had she's one of the villains that just had no remorse out of anything, that she really had to die during the final battle. And I think it was a final battle, but over there she literally died, and that was like it's like the most satisfying defeat of a villain in the Pokemon series so far.
Yeah, I would say that.
Yeah, she was literally the most hard. She literally was. If Team Rocket didn't have any emotions, they would have been like Jay.
True, but at the same time, Team Rocket is an organization that is dedicated to the illegal trade of Pokemon.
Yeah.
That's what they brand themselves with. And the projects they usually encounter is more Pokemon related.
Right.
And also, the Underground Casino and everything else, Kanto.
Kanto and Sinnoh and Holland. But what was your favorite traveling companion of Ash and Pikachu?
Travel companion, like the Pokemon?
No, like the human, his human friends.
I like Iris.
You like Iris?
Yeah, I mean, she has a better drawn out character that has actually some relation. And, being the, I think, Master Dragon type Pokemon is kind of an interesting storyline.
Yeah.
I don't know, which ones?
I think I have two. One is Brock and second is Clement.
Okay. Tech Savvy and the Pokemon Doctor.
Yeah, the tech savvy and the ones with the invent. He's basically like, I mean, do you remember watching Dexter's Laboratory or Jimmy Neutron?
Yep.
That's literally Clement.
Yeah, everything keeps failing, and then Ash has to pay the price.
Yeah, Ash. But I don't know. He's always. I think he was the most sincere one, other than Brock. That's why I liked.
True.
And he was all like that. I really liked his protection of his younger sister all the time. Whenever she's in trouble, he gets into protective brother mode.
Yeah. Well, Brock has been there the longest.
Yeah, Brock. Yeah, I would say Brock because he's solid. I mean, he was a solid helping hand of Ash, and then he finally became a doctor.
Yeah.
He was a gym leader to a breeder to a doctor.
Pretty much.
Oh yeah.
Crazy as that might seem, he definitely followed what he wanted.
Yeah, I would say Brock is, and also Brock. I mean, if you want, I think the best food ever you want to see on anime is made by Brock.
Or jelly donuts. That's always fun.
Jelly donuts. I remember. No, every time if you see Brock's cooking, it's like you really want to eat that.
And I always remind of the jelly donuts meme when Chicks dubbed and just made it so weird, just tart rice balls.
Yeah.
Why does there have to be a cultural difference? Why does it have to be jelly donuts when it doesn't look like jelly donuts?
What are rice balls?
Huh?
What are rice balls?
He cooked rice balls and they call it jelly donuts and they anime dub in 4K.
Yeah, that's a joke. 4Kids dub. But anyways, so yeah, I think in order to summarize overall about Ash and Pikachu, like, they have done a lot, they have seen a lot, they've given us some of the best childhood ever, and then also going into our young adulthood, that I feel like it's a character that'll be with us for a long time, even when he's gone.
Yeah, I mean, even if he takes the picture and comes back, I mean, there's going to be new characters when it comes out to it.
Yeah, new characters, but I don't know if they can follow that legacy of Ash.
It's not follow the legacy. It's just, I think it's just, at this point, establishing themselves.
Yeah, like I think there's a preview for one of the characters in Pokemon that there was gonna be. I think there was like a detail that mentioned that there's this character, I forgot her name. That's the new. I'm referring to the new characters, that she has one of those symbols on her forehead that's basically that takes the same shape as Ash's old cap from the first season, or for first several seasons. So there's a bit of a speculation that that new character could be Ash's child. But we don't know yet.
Yeah, when you get the speculation, it kind of gets into crazy thoughts.
That's basically every show. Whenever there's speculation, everyone gets so excited about it. They get so hyped up, and it's like, I want this better be right. I hope it's right.
That's ST's perspective of the legacy of Ash and Pikachu. Mine is, I grew up playing Pokemon Yellow, Special Pikachu Edition, seeing all the different emotions that the game could emulate of Pikachu. My favorite was probably Bill's reaction when Pikachu's all confused. So, and then you see it, Pikachu bonding with Ash as much as he did. I don't know. I feel like the strongest episode was the moments that he never chose to evolve Pikachu.
Oh yeah.
Going to Raichu Thunderstone.
I remember that one. 2 times he wanted to evolve Pikachu with a Thunderstorm, which Pikachu never wanted to. And I think every time that several ones, like, do you remember the episode where Pikachu wanted to release Pikachu to his flock in the first season?
Yeah.
That was when I really started to really care about Ash. That was like the episode that I really started caring about Ash and Pikachu so much, because they can never. It's like every time I watch the next episode after that, it's like they better not separate ever again.
Yeah.
Or if they did, then I gotta put myself in the show and then be like, let me rescue Pikachu for Ash.
Yeah, I also like so if you evolve into Raichu, your Pikachu might not like you as much as in Pikachu form. So there's always this back of the mind. It's like, is it really worth going more power just for Raichu when Pikachu is who I want?
I mean, Raichu just doesn't have the it just doesn't have the personality of a Pikachu. That it's just way too much of, like, it has a bit of a superiority complex.
Yeah, it does.
Every time I see a Raichu, it always has a superiority. Anyone's Raichu I see, even if they're like the nicest trainers that train a Raichu, it still has a superiority complex compared to Pikachu.
True. But hey, at least you can't say about the lone form of Raichu.
Yeah.
That one looks like it's something in midair.
And also, do you remember remember that episode where the first gym, I think that was the first first actual gym battle that Ash took part in, that he won with the Raichu, Vermilion City?
Oh, yeah.
So you remember, it's the first 2 badges that he got were out of sympathy, but the third one was like an actual win.
Yeah, that actually was the case.
And
I forgot about that one.
Yeah, see, there's so much legacy of this whole of this character that it could take like ages to really talk about every single detail as to what happened for each and every character.
Yeah.
It's been going on for 25 years now.
Kind of crazy. It's coming to a close, at least with, continuity wise, and, having new characters being like good, just like they've been doing with all the other games, each game the new character. So I don't know, it could be interesting, but it also would be different too.
Like, like when you heard the news that Ash and Pikachu are gonna end their appearances, then their character is gonna come to its close, like, what was your reaction?
Well, my reaction, I think it's fitting. They ended on a season where he actually achieved his goal of being a champion, and not just take 2nd place or 4th place, but actually win the entire event.
Yeah, like basically becoming a Pokemon master that he first dreamt of. The first episode, I will become a Pokemon master, and I finally became a Pokemon master 25 years later.
True. I think that's kind of where I see the fitting in, is they finally achieved the entire goal of the series. And once that goal is achieved, it's time to maybe develop a new character. Not to take their place, but to cement their own.
Yeah, cement their own legacy. At least now that I think the average person who's a dad, especially of a young child or mom, if they've seen, they must have seen Pokemon when they were kids, and now I think their young kids can now see a new version of Pokemon.
True, and maybe the main character this time will actually age.
Yeah, you think?
Yeah, 10 years old.
He'll be forever 10 years old. That was why I always felt like Ash's real age was not 10, but it was 16.
Oh no, it's really hard to say. Especially, I mean, he doesn't change except for like the main series of the lore. That's it. everything else like a similar style.
Gotcha. All right. So what would be your favorite? You say your favorite region was Unova, right?
Yeah, or second favorite.
So your second favorite. And do you think that the changes in like every time there's always this new artwork for Ash? Do you think that really improved his character or not really?
I mean, the new artwork was enticing because of the region or the refreshing of the looks. That was just, I think, a cosmetic thing. I really think Ash being centered for the story was the selling point. Now that Pokemon not going to use Ash, they're going to have to develop a new selling point so that new character either takes off or don't, because that's usually the reaction in this type when they have new characters for a new series thing.
You know, which could be what, the new league, a new beginning?
Yeah. I don't know.
Is it gonna be like one of the Star Wars types, the sequels, like a Star Wars sequel series?
I mean, I like Pokemon Origins, so if there's anything that they can like take influence from, is how Pokemon Origins stuff with Red from the, based on the video games was like very impactful. So if they do something like that, or have like a similar storytelling, they could potentially drive up a new character to be in the ranks to fill what Ash left before.
And gotcha.
So this wraps up this episode, the Legacy of Ash and Pikachu Pokemon Edition. Thank you for ST for being here. It was a pleasure to have this interview with you.
Thank you, Mason.
Perspective and pick your brain about it.
Yeah, thank you, Mason. I'm looking forward to seeing how the next era of Pokemon will come to be now that we've ended a 25-year legacy.
Exactly. Can't end it on a better note than that. So where can they find you again? ST, just for...
Yeah, you can find me on you can find me on LinkedIn, Facebook, and also my website, nextintimepodcast.com.
There you hear it, guys. These are Next to Time podcasts where you can see ST live doing episodes near you. And this wraps up this episode of Legacy of Ash and Pikachu. You can find this on podcasts near you, like Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music. That's MC Anime Podcasts in those directories. We also have www.mcanimepodcast.com, live updates and everything else about the podcast and post. Also, we're on Patreon at Blog MC Anime if you want to do different tiers and support us, give original content, and keep this going. Feel free to do so. Further ado, thanks, guys. This is an enjoyable episode. ST, thank you for being here and everything that you came to be in the episode. Bye, guys.
This concludes another episode of MC Anime Podcast. MC Anime Podcast is available on podcast directories like Google Podcast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and YouTube. We also have our website at mcanimepodcast.com. If you want to directly support us, then follow Patreon blog MC Anime. Finally, if you want services for hire, then we're available on Fiverr for audio and video production, graphic design, idea consulting, and blog and article writing.